I'm super excited to be talking about MC Live today. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. It's an awesome opportunity for us to engage our customers and the industry at large, because we have a lot of folks that aren't customers that come to the event. And you're going to be speaking at MC Live, which we're all stoked about at MemberClicks. So I think we're all excited, and I hope you're excited too.
I'm very excited. Very, very excited.
Awesome.
So I thought we could just kick off just a little bit and talk a little bit about it's the dawn of a new decade. Yes, MC Live is coming up, but there's also lots of change happening in associations. And I think you and I both have been people who wanted to really think about the future and really push our organizations and push associations to think about the future. And I'm just curious to start out our conversation today. What are some of the changes you've observed in the industry since starting MemberClicks, which you and I go pretty far back. I've known you since you started MemberClicks. And also, what are some of the changes you predict are going to happen in this next decade?
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, new decade, new year, all that good stuff. It always brings in all kinds of excitement around what's to come. Changes that I've seen, like, they're not going to be surprising to anybody. The expectation of the end user, we think of them as stakeholders in our life, because all of us interact with stakeholders, whether they be members, employees, customers, etc., audience members, consulting customers. We engage them, and as you've seen over the last 10 years, the stakeholders' expectations have evolved, in lots of different ways, and not necessarily in terms of like, hey, the feature functionality set we need, but how do we interact with that feature functionality set, and how do we think and envision the way that this is going to benefit the organization, help me, engage members at a higher level, and how easy is it? Like those are the areas where, things have changed. Like, we're so used to this now, right? Like, this is easy. This is like swipe, touch, go, and so the functionality expectations hasn't changed, but the way that you use it and the outcomes that you expect from it have definitely evolved over time. Now, I'm a big believer in past performance is not indicative of future results, for sure. I'm not great at prognosticating. I believe everything's a process. If I had to guess, though, like thumb in the air, like how things are going to change over the next 10 years, I would say it's probably just a more rapid evolution of what we've seen over the last 10. The nonprofit community, associations, chambers, trades, they tend to, based off of resource constraint, time bandwidth constraint, and budget constraint, they tend to follow the market at a slower pace. And so the things that folks are experiencing, in the Microsoft and the Googles and the Apples of the world, that isn't necessarily what's on the minds of our users and our stakeholders. So what I would expect to change is probably just a more rapid evolution of what we've already seen is, hey, make it easy for me, help me better understand. Software becomes more of the fabric of the everyday business in terms of how we think of it and utilize it and expect and drive outcomes.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
What about you? I mean, so you said we met many years ago. We won't share the actual number. Somehow you look younger and I look older. I've got more gray, but it's okay. You've started XYZ University. You've written many books. You've talked all over the country. I know because I'm there. And so what do you see? What's on your mind?
Yeah. So definitely, I've been seeing some changes in this past decade. I think associations are beginning to really contemplate their value because value has shifted. And you're right, technology is a huge piece of that. People are wanting things, products and services and information faster than ever before. Their demands are higher than ever. We've all become very savvy consumers. We're all way more choosy about where we spend our money and how we spend it. So we have to contemplate value, and I think that's going to be really key going forward for associations. They're probably going to look more at some of the problems to solve because the market's demanding that. And one of the big problems that I see that associations and chambers will start solving, hopefully, is workforce development. And this has long been predicted. You know, when baby boomers were born, we knew that there was this huge population bulge, and the generation that followed was very small. And then we've had another population bulge with millennials, but the trajectory hasn't been the same. We haven't been moving people effectively into leadership. We haven't been passing the baton, so to speak. And now we're realizing that there's tremendous turnover and dissatisfaction in the workforce, and there's just more careers to choose from. So there are entire industries really grappling with, where do we find the workers? How do we keep the workers? How do we get young people engaged in our profession? So I think associations are going to begin to heed the call for that. And that's all part of that value shift. But there's also, I'm going to make a prediction. I predict that in this next 10 years, we're really going to see the fall of hierarchy. And again, we've kind of been on this path for a while, but because there's such a call to action to get young people involved, both in the workforce and in associations, I think that we'll start to see boards of directors and leadership become more multi-generational. And I've already heard of and interviewed some associations that are beginning to do this. For example, like mandating that every decision-making entity has to have 30% of the people under the age of 30, and this infuses more collaboration, more innovation. It's good for everyone, but for some organizations, it's going to be difficult to let go of that hierarchy, but oh so important. And I think we'll see more multi-generational boards and decision-making groups. So that, all good things. It's gonna be fun to see what the future brings.